Welcome, everybody. It's Veil of Sound again over here, and we, on every Sunday, we have a very special guest for you. And I bet my left buttock that the guys who are with me today have had their hands in the collaboration record of the year. We have at least two members of Uniform here. So first of all, thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. To make it clear, the collaboration that I'm talking about is, of course, the amazingly good, not surprisingly good, but amazingly good record that you did together with Boris from Japan. It's really unbelievably good. I had a lot of expectations going in. They have been how should I say? They have been exceeded. You know, it was like even better than what I hoped for. And this record is really screaming at me like, listen more, listen again, and listen over and over again. So that is really an achievement, guys. So first of all, thanks for that.
Thank you for the kind words. It's
I appreciate that a lot.
yeah, it means a lot.
The first question on Veil of Sound is always, what kind of band merch are you wearing, if any, at all right now? And please, no pants.
Well, I'm wearing a White House shirt, a White House Psychopathus Sexualis, or Psychopathia Sexualis shirt, which is I bought it from William Bennett's website. He'll kind of do these like official runs of White House shirts, like that'll limit to like 100, and when they go up they sell out pretty instantaneously. William and Philip are pretty like they're pretty intense about like catching bootleggers. They don't like it when their stuff gets bootlegged, and so like I feel weird wearing a bootlegged White House shirt if like the band has like a bad feeling in their mouth about that. So bad taste in their mouth. I don't know. I shouldn't be talking about tastes in mouth and White House. Anyway, yeah, I'm wearing a White House shirt.
So
how long did that take? I walked in the middle.
It was you were there about 5 seconds after the start. He's asking us if we're wearing any band.
Yeah, and you managed to like avoid it and also not wear a band shirt.
Yeah.
So Mr.
I'm just like, motherfucker.
As soon as he got, I looked at Bernice and I just started laughing. I'm wearing a George Strait shirt, the country legend, Straight from the Heart's one of my favorite tapes that I own. And that's it. It's just the metal guy wears a different genre shirt thing. So,
which is a good thing, right? Which is a good thing. So
Mr.
Greenberg seems not to wear any kind of metal or music related shirt. So he's already showing himself to be not a music lover, of course.
I'm just anti-capitalist.
Yeah, totally. Before anybody asks, American Nightmare, of course.
Oh,
always,
yes.
At least
Very
for me,
good.
always a good choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. There's no caveat to that. They're great dudes and good shirt. Yeah.
So of course, a band like you has to have a stupid question first. So which New York City sports team has the best uniform? The Jets, the Mets, the Giants, the Knicks, the Rangers, or whoever the fuck you want to vote for? So
Ben.
I'm going to say the Cyclones.
Okay. Why?
I just think they have the coolest uniform.
Okay.
They're the least annoying. They're also the least annoying team in New York.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going to
And
say
the other two?
the Nets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're from Brooklyn. You got to say that, right?
No, I don't know anything about them. I know that they're from Brooklyn, but I also just their color scheme is like inoffensive. It's like black.
Mike, do you have any opinion on that one?
Yeah, the Astros have better uniforms than any of those.
Oh, come on, the Astros suck.
Okay.
Sign-stealing bastards.
Everybody cheats.
That's true, but you shouldn't get caught doing it, right?
They won fair. They won fair and square last year. They did not get caught at whatever they were doing last year. So.
That's true,
Yeah.
but still, no way I'm ever gonna accept the Astros to being a nice team.
All right.
Let's get back to business, guys. The new record with Boris. How long has it been in the making? I've read bits and blobs that it was like 3 years in the making, 4 years in the making. How long did it take you guys to get it out?
I'd say we started right at the beginning of the Did we start right before the pandemic, or did we start right at the beginning of the pandemic? Do you guys remember?
We were talking to them about it, I think, before the pandemic, but we didn't actually get started on it until a little later on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it took, all things considered, I think we handed in the final master, like, we're going to say like April, May 2020. And we probably agreed on the master, like, what was it, this past December?
Yeah, it was like the end of last year, beginning of this year.
Yeah. So it was like almost 3 years.
And the way that it sounds like when you describe it, Mike, it's not such a long time because of the backlash of vinyl publication or vinyl pressing at the moment, but it just simply took time, which is of course clear for a project which is intercontinental. So how must we imagine the songwriting process for that?
Ben, you go ahead.
It started with Boris. They sent us a bunch of tracks to build on, just basic stuff, no vocals, guitar, drums. Some of them had bass. We built on those. We wrote a bunch of tracks of our own and sent them back, and we just kind of went back and forth from there. Mike and Atsuo traded lyrics and wrote for each other, which is really cool. Yeah.
And then how did you record the thing? I mean, like, did you really go into a studio? All, what is it, 7 of you together, or?
Would have been 7.
No, they recorded in Japan and sent us stuff, and then we recorded in New York over the stuff they had recorded and did some editing, etc., blending, and then sent it back. So we just traded long distance the whole time. That's part of why it took so long, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is not the first collaboration album that you have done. I mean, like, you've already, of course, done the stuff with The Body, and wasn't there another collaboration that I simply forgot? Zombie, right?
Yeah.
Did all of that happen online, like exchanging files and stuff?
Not the Body stuff. The body's easier because they record not too far from here, just like it's like a 4-hour drive in Providence, Rhode Island. And so we'll just like go meet up with them and hang out for a day or two and kind of just kind of see whatever comes together. So we do that all together. The Zombie stuff was like we just traded stems, so that wasn't like in the same room or anything, even though Steve from Zombie does play on the Boris collab, but yeah.
So was this collaboration, when both bands agreed on it, was that something that you guys dreamed of? Because I have heard that you have been huge Boris fans even before you did the tour together. So was that something like a dream come true?
I mean, it's strange. Like, I think when we make music, like, we don't think in terms of like, like, oh, here, like, let's have like a goal of like, making music with people that we like care about. Like, I like is more just like it was like very much kind of like a natural like evolution of how like that relationship developed on tour. And you know, it's like, it's more just like kind of like cosmically strange that it worked out that way. Because it's just very, very natural. However, like with it being like very natural, it's also like, you know, they're, you know, they're a very unique band with a very like a very serious like set of like artistic values. And they're definitely people that we, you know, that we look up to, and you never anticipate that you're going to get the opportunity to work with people that like you care about from a distance. So it's like, yeah, I wouldn't say dream come true so much, because dream come true implies that it was a goal, and it's just way more shocking than that.
You mean shocking in the sense that it really worked, right? Or that it came together? Yeah.
It's shocking.
And unexpected too,
yeah. It's shocking in that they like they felt such a way about us to like, you know, invite us on stage, and then to like invite us to work with them, you know. That's, you know, that's some next level shit.
So can you describe a little bit how this we wrote over their stuff thing works? Because I guess for you as people who've made that record, it's clear to say, okay, this part here is originally Boris, and that part over there is now us. But you know, how do you then come up with stuff to add to it?
A lot of it began with us just learning what they had written and recording over it.
So you mean like you learned how to play it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mike Sharp and I learned what they had sent over and went in and recorded. In some cases, we recorded in unison with it as a second layer. In some cases, we wrote slightly different parts that interlocked with what they had. And then we wrote original music from scratch and sent it back to them as well.
It's almost like we were a company,
which they then
more like
yeah, and a little bit of arranging as well,
sure.
You know. But it was kind of like you know, we just followed our instincts the same way they did when they were putting things together to send to us. You know, they sent us stuff with a lot of room in it to develop, and so we worked on that development.
They were very generous
Mike,
with the space and recordings at first, because they want. I think they knew that we were going to fill in a lot of gaps.
Yeah, they trusted us too, which is really cool. You know, it's not like they sent us fully realized songs and were like, "Why don't you play on this?" They sent us the beginnings of songs, riffs, beats. You know, yeah, and then we tried to do the same thing. We tried to send them the same thing, send them ideas that they could shape, and they did an amazing. I mean, they took the stuff we sent in directions that I don't think I ever could have imagined.
Yeah,
you know?
We didn't have the ears for what they did, which is like, that's what the trade-off is.
And so you basically recorded that, and then did you send it back and they added more, or was it like they sent stuff, we did our stuff, and that's the way it was?
No. It went back and forth a number of times. We started by building up the music, and then we started getting vocals back from them and sending them vocals back from us. And then, you know, we had Steve come in and play bass on some stuff, and Randall Dunn played some synths on some stuff. You know, by the time we got, I think the last thing that happened was Mike Burdan sent them lyrics, and Atsuo sent back his final vocals. And from there, I had everything, and then I mixed it.
Technical question. There are moments on the record when I had the impression that I was listening to like an echo effect, you know, with like the same thing that I heard like a millionth of a second before being repeated. The way that you describe it, it could have been not a repetition, but it could be your second layer that you put right on top of it, right?
Yeah, there's two drummers on most of the record. So yeah, you're hearing two drum kits.
By the way, Mike, how was it to drum along to Atsuo? You know, like how was that for you to do the drumming with somebody who's a legend? I just love and play all the time.
Oh, absolutely. It is hard to come up with any, not improvements, but anything I could think of that wasn't already being played. But I wasn't on the tour with Boris, so like the first time I really feel like I met or collaborated, I was just listening to like the drums that, you know, first time I met Atsuo was playing drums along in my practice space alone, and it was kind of like learning those parts. You're kind of trying to identify where the cuts are, where the stops are, and things like that, and just work around it without taking anything away. So it was really rewarding, and I'd never really done anything like that before. And of course, to do that on a record with Boris, and that's the first try. It's insane.
The way you describe it, there's still a lot of, how should I say, a lot of respect for the masters from Japan. But I have to say that I'm like, I love basically every Boris album, just like you guys do. But I have to say that this one, even for me, to put it into the Boris discography, like ranking it a little bit, this one jumps in at a very high spot because I love the way that you complemented it, or also in certain points contradicted it. You know, there are moments where you can hear, okay, here they wanted to do something different. And now it would be interesting to know what they then said to your either contradicting aspect that you added or to your supporting points. How did they react to your additions?
They were really supportive the whole way through.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was really, really easy to collaborate with them in that sense. You know, they were really open to anything we wanted to try. We were really open to everything they wanted to try. And there wasn't really we didn't have to do a lot of editing or like critical subtracting, or we didn't wind up with more than we needed. Everyone was really tasteful. Everyone was really careful and respectful of the material. I don't know that we did what they expected us to do. But I think it worked out really well.
Definitely did.
Like,
you know, we got what they sent us, and we just sort of got together, you know, and just figured out what to do.
a cool thing with Boris, you know, that we've talked about a lot is that like when they start making, like when they sit down to like make a record, they have zero agenda. Like, you know, you just kind of like let it happen. And that, I think, gave us the freedom to kind of operate in a very similar way. And the fact that it happened over a period of time, and that period of time being COVID in the US during Donald Trump, during the George Floyd protests, like just a lot of stuff was happening. And I think that the way that the record plays out is like, I think you can kind of hear what we're all going through at different points in time throughout. Like, it's very much kind of like a document of those 3 years, as opposed to like, hey, we like wrote a record and then like, you know, banged it out, and like it's not traditional at all. It's like almost a journal.
Mm-hmm. Is that also the reason why some of the songs seem to have programmatic titles and come in very programmatic spots? Like the first track of Bright New Disease is called You Are the Beginning. I'm pretty sure there is a deeper meaning into the position in the set list or track list, and in the song title itself. Was that whole collaboration for you guys a new beginning?
I mean, that one was all Atsuo. Like Atsuo kind of like conceptualized that as the beginning of the record, the beginning of a live performance, the beginning of like this period in time. So like that, like, and I think that like the only things in the sequence that he was like, this song starts with this, or this record starts with this record ends with Not Surprised. You know, he was like dead set on the placement of those two things. Besides that, it's like he kind of pieced together the journey.
Did that make those two tracks more difficult?
No, because we did everything like still at, you know, at our own pace, at our own time. You know, we didn't, it was when everything was done that he insisted that those be like those belong where they are.
Okay.
Yeah, he waited until, you know, we had mixes and stuff, which is the right time to start thinking about that stuff, I think.
It's clever, right? You know,
Yeah.
because otherwise, if you tell them like, this song must be the first one, so don't fuck it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But also, you know, what makes a song the right song to go first on a record? You know, it's not necessarily the original intention that goes into creating the song. You don't always know how things are going to turn out. You know, you got to leave room.
And there you are again at the thing that you already mentioned, Ben, right? So they gave you a lot of stuff and space and room to fill. You can imagine.
Yeah, no, they didn't send us like, okay, so like vocals are going to go here and like take a solo here, and you know, they just sent riffs and beats, and it just really naturally formed, which is, you know, how we've liked to approach our records also in the past. You know, we do a lot of work on them for sure, but we try not to put too many constraints on them from the beginning, because you never know where you're going to wind up, you know. And if you're trying to make something new, you know, you got to leave room for things to happen.
What is interesting in a way is you've spoken about a journal. Was this record in a way also a chance for you guys to cope with the situation, cope with COVID, or to take your mind off of COVID?
Both for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I don't think that there really was such a thing as like taking your mind off of COVID.
Yeah.
And like it's like taking your mind off of 9/11. Like you're just like it's happened, you just got to deal with it. But so coping is, you know, the thing. But like, you know, definitely by making music, you face it, and you face it in a constructive way. Like, I don't know, fucking COVID was weird. Like as terrible as it was, at the same time, like it brought about necessary like socio-political changes or socio-political discussions. It brought about a lot of reflection. I definitely think the record has a lot to do with reflection over periods of time. But you know, I'm not big on escaping things. I don't think that music's about that. I think music's about processing.
That's probably a very good thing. You know, you've already mentioned you couldn't one couldn't take the mind off of COVID. Of course, I mean, like everybody who watches this will know how the situation was in New York City at certain times during the pandemic. So let's ask it this way: when the first lockdowns happened, which was probably around a similar time, you know, like when you decided on working on the record, did you three guys then get together, or did at the beginning really everybody work separately?
They sent their tracks over, and I think we had a while to mull it over, right, guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah,
want to
well,
mull it over and to talk and stuff, and then we got
Yeah.
together.
And then you
Yeah,
three
and
got together in a room.
Yeah, I flew up to New York, and it was my first time traveling during lockdown. And being in, it took a while, but once we eventually got in the room, it wasn't necessarily an escape, but it was like a way to sort of focus on all this stuff we'd been slowly working on while dealing with everything else. And it was great. It was probably the best possible reason to travel to New York during lockdown, even though, like, you heard it was just like the crazy hot spot or whatever from where I was in Texas. But it was, once we were in the room together, it was like kind of all the anxieties about being at the airports and traveling around and all those things. It was like that kind of went away, and we were able to just kind of focus all that nervous energy into making something really aggressive. And I don't know, we added a lot of really more primal stuff than we had done on Shame together, I think, when we were just kind of building off of these things.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah, it was
mentioned
really fun to get together and write a bunch of stuff really fast.
Because I had a window. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that made it actually really fun, I think, because we could just we got to just go through the fun part of creation where we just threw stuff out there,
Yeah.
and we got to do that in a certain period of time, and then we got to take a step back and listen to it and kind of think about it. It was really it was an important thing to do, I think.
you also feel as if that in a way was an important point for you as a band.
Definitely.
Yeah, it didn't feel I mean, I don't know that we knew that at the time, or how long it was going to take, or what it was going to turn into, but it felt really crucial. I think everybody was sort of looking for things to focus on and and put energy into and stuff. So it was really personally good for me to have that to work on with you guys.
And
Yeah.
I think also, when, like we were discussing, when we got to turn around and be the listener to like what kind of came out of all this trading, like Ben obviously had the most intense, he had to listen to it the most because he was mixing it in kind of real time. But once we heard everything that was like thrown at the wall by both bands, it was like it was still able to surprise. I mean, I still heard things I didn't realize were there, like the last time, once we were listening for the final mixes and the masters. And that was the other rewarding part of it, is to like have this really intense creative thing where you're throwing everything at the wall, and then you kind of get to take 3 steps back and see the big picture of it. And it's just, not what you expected.
Yeah. I feel like it's worked our way into like our creative process now in a big way too, in that like things don't feel as rushed as they used to at all. Like things, like if you allow things to unfold as they should, then you're going to make something of substance and quality that means something to you. If you're trying to like just like bang out a record so that you can sell it, then like, whatever, that's fine. But like, I don't have interest in doing that. I'd rather have an experience.
So then not the destination is the goal, but the traveling.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the point of records.
Yeah.
To represent that journey,
I can see that. And I also think that the process is more important than the result. I had a lot of, I don't want to say discussions, but let's say conversations with artists over the last couple of months and years. And something that struck me always is that a lot of artists don't like classification, okay, this is a noise rock record, or this is death metal, or this is ambient, whatever. And I think what you are hinting at is the process of writing, of creating, is the more rewarding thing, right? So the reward is not the record, but all the things that add up to that record.
Yeah, I mean, I think the end result's really important too, but I think I think that it's really important that the end result is respected, and that the process is treated with patience, and that you're not rushing to the end result. And I think a lot of bands do that still. You know, and there are a lot of reasons for that too. We also have the luxury, well, especially on this record, we had the luxury of resources and time, which is not always the case when bands are making records, you know. But in another sense, you have as much time as you allow yourself. And I think that bands put a lot of pressure on themselves to make a lot of records really fast and to get in front of people as quickly as possible and as intensely as possible. And, you know, I respect everybody's energy in that sense, but I think we're just trying to focus on things that are constructive and things that are built to last. And, you know,
I mean, the process interests us creatively more so. It's,
yeah,
like you said, it's about the journey and whatnot, but it's you want to get through it in due time and kind of respect that part of it. So, because the end result, whatever idea you have at first always changes if you're really honest with yourself and not just sticking to the notes, sticking to the whiteboard with the parts on it, you know, that sort of thing. So
yeah,
that's just sort of the process we found and like now. Sorry, but
no, and the records are always better when people are patient and give it time. You know, that's kind of the thing that we're all dancing around, is like, if you rush to an end goal just to get it out, just to sell it, just to tour it, it's never as good, you know.
That's true. Quick question. Sorry, Mike, you go first.
Oh yeah, a record should be a document of an experience. And not a product.
Yeah, not a means to itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although we also have to say that there are genres where that is not necessarily the case. I mean, like, if we think of like the very classic old punk hardcore, who gave a fuck about what McKay was thinking when he wrote Minor Threat?
Yeah. I mean, there's like a plate, like, that's the thing. Like, to me, it's like, it's all very, like, all art is different in approach. And like, you know, not all music's coming from the same place, but like at the end of the day, like, you know, we're all kind of free to just do what we want. And like, not everybody has to have the same goal, you know? Like, yeah, you know, it's totally great to just fucking make a sick punk record, or like make a fucking killer pop record, or like, you know, like that's fucking awesome. You know, I wouldn't want to spend fucking 3 years writing a Blitz record. Like, what the fuck?
But they might have, you know. And I think what makes those records great is, you know, maybe they made Victim of Pain in 2 days or whatever, but the journey that they're on is super sincere, and they definitely weren't like, all right guys, let's get this done, we gotta go to Europe, you know.
So like that, I think that's a really big thing, is like this whole like, okay, like, we need to have a record out so that we can live the rest, so that we can do the rest of the band stuff. Like, that's bullshit. Who the fuck cares? Just, you know, like, that's so disingenuous. Like, when it's like, when the time comes, that's great. But like, you're selling yourself short, you're selling your audience short, and like, you're fucking, like, you're playing into this like really gnarly capitalistic notion of like, you know, create a product to be consumed. Like, fuck that, you know. But to each their own. I don't know. I'm talking out my ass.
That's not the process we found, basically. Like, that's just, that one doesn't quite work for us. So.
Yeah. No.
One quick question, because it only is like a means for me to get to the next one. Do you, when you listen to Bright New Disease, do you know who or which band did what on the record?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Because that leads to my next question. Could you guys imagine bringing the whole thing on tour?
I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
The logistics of it, yeah, that's kind of the fun part.
There's
Yeah.
there's conversations floating around. It is a bit of a, like a logistic nightmare for like the big T word tour. However, like I bet there will be shows, you know, like
Oh,
we
I
all-
know a little festival in Holland,
oh,
but I would love to see you guys on. By the way, it has its 25th year
So
anniversary
would we,
next
by
year.
the way.
Yeah,
What?
that would work.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
down.
We're in.
Yeah, definitely down. Like,
Let us know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell Walter next week when I talk to him.
please send him our love. Yeah, I have a call into Becky in a couple of days about some other stuff. But love Walter.
But before anybody listening to this gets excited, no, we're not making any announcement for Roadburn Festival on this show, and there is nothing that we could even announce. So
No, literally has to come up in
please don't.
conversation.
I mean, like, for everybody wanting to have news on this, please follow us. You know, of course, we're happy. You know, like, follow us, send us your love, and send big packages of money to the guys. You know, we can make it work. The more you send over, but you know, this is not an announcement, to make it clear. So we've also already said that this is not your first collaboration record that you did. Is there any other artist where you say, like, I could see that work?
Yeah. For me personally, yeah. But yeah.
And would you now also say which one?
Yeah. What do you? Yeah, Ben.
Well,
what do you think?
I would love to try, and I'm just putting this out there, I guess. Well, I think I've put this to you guys individually or personally before, but I would love to try to collaborate with the group Battle Trance.
Oh yeah.
I think we could do
talk
something
about that. That's cool.
fascinating with them, honestly. Do you know them?
No, I'm not, but I just wrote it down, so I can check it
You
out.
should check them out.
Battle Trance, like the trance that you put yourself into. I'll check that one out. Okay, and the mics, any band where you feel like, oh, that would be something like, I mean, uniform collaboration with Taylor Swift or Beyonce?
Well, yeah, obviously there's money in that.
I don't know. Is there?
I'm gonna say,
or maybe we'll just suck money from them. Really, we'll just ruin their.
I won't say who, because this is recording, and I don't think that this will go. But like, you know, where one time we were asked passively to collaborate with someone who existed in a different universe, like musical universe than us, like, you know, and by different musical universe I mean like they actually like make money, and it just like it was sweet, but it just like wasn't right, and so we had to like say no. But I know, to me it's like, if it makes sense musically as like a means to an end, if it's interesting, then yeah, definitely. Like, you know, the way that the Boris thing came about is kind of similar to like how the Body thing came about, where it's just like you're hanging out with your friends, like you can tell that there's a rapport, and so like, you know, you kind of build into that. I look at the way that like Jura like collaborates with people and has collaborated with people over the years, where it's just like all kind of under the Swans umbrella, like, and that's like, you know, kind of how I see things being like maybe going. I don't know. But yeah, I like working with people as long as they don't get on my goddamn nerves. But
and the whole thing is a collaboration, you know, and it's been growing since we started it, and it's going to keep growing. So there's going to wind up being, you know, more for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that it would be interesting, just considering to work with like someone who's a really not an established voice, like solo artist, whether it be instrumental or you know, maybe even electronic artists or something, because this was just Ben and Berdan, and they kind of pulled me in, and it just it's interesting to see everybody's disparate voices if they already have kind of a singular vision in other stuff that they make. Like Ben has his own thing, Berdan has his own thing, I have my own thing, and it's sometimes like bringing in something that's just kind of like one more not parallel line, but one more line to kind of add to it. That would be interesting, and I feel like also easier to book. So that's part of it too.
Yeah,
But
7 buses, you know?
Yeah.
You just say 7 buses. My wife just was in Amsterdam over the weekend for a Beyonce concert, and she said that they were waiting outside to get like the last metro out after the concert out back into Amsterdam, and she spoke something about like she counted a dozen buses that were waiting outside the venue only for people. And I was like,
yeah, that makes sense.
you mean like nightliners?
Yeah.
And she said, no, normal buses to get people back into Amsterdam for a hotel. And I was like, did you just say 12? And she was
Wow.
like, yeah, 12. And then we
Yeah,
looked
That's
it
how
up.
we do it now.
And then we looked it up, and her entourage is more than 500 people.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
They can afford it.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course they can afford it. I mean, like the
yeah.
ticket that my
No,
wife had, I won't say how much it was, but I can say it was the uppermost section, and it cost more than a 3-day ticket at Roadburn. Fortunately, it was a present for my wife by her cousin. So thanks for that. But otherwise,
But the worst thing about that entourage is I heard they always split the check.
it's funny, like given the prices, there are people who have flown over from the States to go to this European tour because the European tour is significantly less expensive than anywhere in the States.
did you just say significantly less?
I'm saying significantly less. Like the EU is not without its problems, but we live in the goddamn United States. It's terrible here. Like we live in a capitalist hellscape. You guys don't have to deal with Ticketmaster.
Yeah, that's true.
We have Ticketmaster over here, but they're not big.
Yeah, they're the only game in town here.
Yeah, like the antitrust suits against Ticketmaster will never work
Nah,
here.
too big.
Yeah, Pearl Jam lost. How's anybody gonna win?
I mean, like if Eddie
lost
loses, then it's a lost case. A few more questions before we come to our infamous quickfire round over here. When I listened to the record, I don't know if it was consciously or subconsciously, but it felt as if the whole record, in a way, is an homage to Boris and their vast oeuvre. I mean, like, there are tracks which sound like cool new discoveries from a heavy rocks session. Then there are some which sound like, okay, this could be No, or this could be The W, or some even like Pink. And I was like, is that really the way that this whole thing is like an homage to the guys? Probably not consciously,
really.
right?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because it started with them. So
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it's just like a band, like no matter like if a band makes a record, even if they're trying to do something different, they're still going to sound like that band, you know.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, it was. I think that what it is that like we took their direction, and also because of the way that they approach music when it came to like our side and the stuff that we like kind of like wrote first.
Yeah,
we were a lot less afraid to kind of like reach deep and just put weird stuff out there. So you know, just because there was nothing to lose. So you know, if anything, like the homage to Boris is like in the approach to making it, in that
Mhm.
like, you know, we did it without a goal.
So I mean, like there are dozens of collaboration records with, for example, Vow and Emma Ruth Rundle, Mertz Bow and Boris, and a lot of others. Do you guys have something like a collaboration record which you yourself really admire, like you like to listen to?
From other bands?
Yeah, not from yourself. I mean, like yourself is also always perfect, but which I really mean, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. But you know, like for other bands.
I mean, I'm gonna say like for sure all of like the fucking like all of like the Brian Eno cluster stuff is like fucking huge for me. I think that that's like the height of both of them at like the height of their abilities. Yeah. I go back to a lot of like Eno stuff, like Fripp and Eno, Cluster Eno. Yeah.
Ben, you want to go?
I grew up listening to a lot of jazz, so you know that was sort of all. Everybody was their own artist.
That's true.
Through that world, so it was sort of all really collaborative. The Money Jungle record with Duke Ellington and Charles Mingus and Max Roach is probably, that's a desert island for me for sure, and it really feels like three different worlds of jazz playing music together in a new way, you know.
And still it not being three separate worlds, but coming together, right? I think that's also important.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was the same time period. They're definitely from the same larger continuum of music, but you know, you're talking about, you know, big band bebop, and then like kind of the beginnings of like abstracted post bop and stuff with Mingus. And you know, it yields something totally new as a result because everybody's pushing each other.
That's true. Mr. Sharp?
That floating points. Yeah.
Oh, the floating points one was great with Carl Sanders. That's a good
one.
I was just there's three that all three of us have talked about, just kind of when we're sitting around like, oh, that's a good record. Oh, fuck, that's a good record. And you just do that for 45 minutes. But the Angels of Light Akron family one, that collab was always that was always way up there. It just changed both sounds of both bands.
Definitely.
The Damo Suzuki cul-de-sac one, which was mostly improvised shows, but all the songs were like 20 minutes long. That was really cool because they could like keep up with him. And something we've talked about also is all the collabs on the Spawn soundtrack, which I think are just unmatched in a lot of ways, because it's just like combining two. Each one is just like a DJ playing with a metal band, and it's pretty dated, but it's my kind of dated. It's like exactly the kind of thing
it works really well.
Wasn't it Moby doing Metallica?
Yeah, and then there's another one, and then there's another one with like DJ Spooky on there.
That is
like the really good. Yeah, that one, and then like there's Ronnie Size playing with like Soul Coughing.
Yeah,
that track list is so crazy for the time that. No, it's Moby and Butthole Surfers, and that's like the best song on there. That's what the Moby one is.
But who does? Oh no, then is it Metallica and DJ Spooky, For Whom the Bell Tolls?
That's what it is. Because that's kind of just, it's more of like just a drum and bass version of it, which is great.
Yeah.
There's an Orbital one too. I think it's Orbital and Just Kirk Hammett or something.
Yeah.
And there's a Slayer one too, right?
And then Prodigy.
Slayer and a Cartoon Riot, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Slayer. But it's interesting. Isn't that one of the examples where the soundtrack is much better than the movie?
Very much.
I don't think the soundtrack is very good either. I think they're both.
But I do like.
I think the movie's incredible. John Leguizamo fucking brings it home.
Yeah, but otherwise, the whole story about Spawn and everything. I mean, like, I love the comics.
Yeah.
I love the comics.
There's some Rush stuff, and then there's some little genius in there, I think. But yeah,
I got a good one on this actually. Did you know that the guy that did the score for that movie was in SPK?
Yeah, Graham Rebel. Yeah, he does a ton of shit.
Wow, he does a ton of shit.
Yeah.
Didn't he also Didn't he also initiate the Judgment soundtrack?
Judgment Night?
Think?
No.
Judgment
Oh,
Night.
probably.
But it's the
No,
same
it's
label.
not,
I'm
no?
sure of that.
Yeah, it's Immortal. But
Yeah.
it was like some like the 22-year-old kid who owned Immortal was the person who was like the brainchild guy for the. I just had to write a giant fucking essay on the Judgment Night soundtrack.
Share your knowledge. Come
Also
on,
an
let us-
incredible
nerd us out.
soundtrack.
Well, it was just like it was this kid's like just brainchild. It was like he had Cypress Hill and House of Pain in his stable, and he was like, yeah, he's like, this Biohazard band's doing well, and the Anthrax Public Enemy thing seemed to do really well, so why don't we just like make this curio thing? And some of it, like, it's funny, like I do like the Judgment Night soundtrack as an exercise, and also I think there's like some really cool stuff, like Slayer and Ice-T do this medley of exploited tracks, and like it's like legitimately great. What's it called? Like Sir Mix-a-Lot and Mudhoney. It gets really interesting. I think that stuff's cool. By the time the Spawn soundtrack came out, everything was just way too bombastic for me, and it was just like I was never really a big drum and bass guy anyway. So it just like it didn't really do it for me. That was when I like started like kind of like tuning out towards like the more extreme stuff and getting into like minimal techno. At around so
Always fun to talk with nerds. I always love it. No,
Yeah.
honestly, because it makes me feel less unusual.
Yeah.
for like it's why I hate being called a metal band. It's like I think we all listen to metal, but like I think metal's like the 20th thing on our list of shit that we listen to.
Interesting. I would never associate you guys with metal. If I had to drop genres, I would probably drop hard electro and noise. That would be my two go-tos if I had to describe you. But maybe I'm
Right
just
on.
stupid.
That's pretty good. That would be higher on the list for metal and stuff I'd want to check out currently. So
I mean, I think we all kind of come from like, especially like me and Ben, from like our old bands and like kind of like where we where we grew up and how we came up. Like it was very much like just about like being weird, like kind of like weird, like weird New York noise rock of like the early aughts, which a lot of that stems from Texas stuff and from Chicago stuff and like general Midwest stuff. But like we were just like the music that we were making then was just more about like taking drugs and being bad. And it had very little to do with like making music. And I think there's still a part of that to us.
Yeah, you can't lose that spirit.
Yeah.
Last question before we come to our infamous quickfire round. Do you guys see a difference between a real collaboration, a cover version, or a remix? And if so, what is the difference in your opinion?
Yeah. I think those are really clearly defined and different from each other. A collaboration is creating something from the ground up together. A cover is recording someone else's composition. And a remix is like rearranging someone else's composition.
Yeah, kind of putting it's the voicing is different. Like collaboration is both voices. Remix is kind of like you, like filtering it through your voice, and then like a cover is kind of similar to that, I guess. A remix and a cover are a little close, but I feel like a lot of times you don't necessarily add to a remix. You kind of change what the end result is. Like what if they had tried this? Maybe they tried this. When they were getting the mix down.
Yeah.
So, question. Could you guys name somebody who you would like to be covered by or remixed by?
Oh, remix for sure. I'm sure.
There's a million people I'd love to be remixed by.
So give us one of them.
The Bug.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's a good. I think that's a pretty good across the board answer. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would
The
all
answer
love
to most
that.
things
So
is the
yeah.
bug. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the bug. Yeah, and to that I would add Justin Broadwick. I would do like the whole Techno Animal crew would be great.
Yeah. Techno Animal is the fucking sickest. They just announced that reissue. I'm like losing my mind. So stuff.
I
Did
know.
Did you guys listen to his new collaboration record? Not Godflesh, but one that he did with Dirk Serious from Belgium. Loudest Giants. That is a good one. It's
No,
very
I'll look it up.
ambient, and it was done around the same time as your collaboration with Boris.
Wow.
It's a pandemic album.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
check it
I
out.
have it I have it sitting in my pile, and and by my pile I mean I bought it on Bandcamp and I just haven't been able to listen to it yet.
Yeah, if you want to know more, and everybody, if you haven't known about it yet, go to our site. You will find something on that record, even an interview with one of the
Cool.
guys.
Yeah.
Now the infamous quickfire round. No interview partner leaves this realm without being asked the quickfire questions. You will always get two alternatives, like Gorguts versus Krellis, AC versus DC, RE versus M. Which do you like more? Which one would you rather listen to? Which one do you prefer? Let's start with something simple. The Exploited versus the Germs.
That's not simple. I'll honestly say Exploited, even though the Germs are way cooler.
Germs.
Germs. Yeah.
Sorry for Dave.
I try not to give you only music questions. So
I have a germ
Italian-
burn, like a real germs burn too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You win that part of it.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Okay, next.
Okay, next one. Italian style pizza or deep dish?
Fuck. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
Next.
Come on. We have somebody who lives in Michigan right now. You know, like
Deep dish is
Detroit,
not
Detroit
pizza.
style's pretty good. I'd still go Italian.
It's Italian.
Yeah,
Always
Italian.
Italian.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, always.
Always
Deep
Italian.
dish is a
Deep dish
different
is-
genre of food.
This is
Yeah.
regional.
Deep dish is like
that
lasagna.
pizza is universal.
would you agree that deep dish is a pie and not a pizza?
It's a casserole. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's good. It's just
Chicago
not.
is a casserole. Detroit's it's like a crispy pan pizza. That's why I like it. But I do get sick of it here too. I wish I just had a regular slice a lot of the time.
So again, something way back in time. Chromax versus Agnostic Front.
Oh shit.
What record?
No. We're not going into specifics.
Oh.
I'm like
Hey,
Chromax. Come on, they
I'm
only
saying
got
Chromax.
the age of Quarrel.
I'm gonna say Victim in Pain.
Yeah. I think overall I gotta take Victim in Pain above all the Chromax records. Even though I love like Best Wishes even, but like
I
Yeah,
like Alpha Omega.
I gotta say Agnostic Front.
Good record.
I like most of the Chromax records for sure, but like when Agnostic Front crossed over, like they were still remarkable. I mean, sketchy as fuck, but like but great. So yeah, I don't know. AF.
No.
Pick Destroyer versus Agoraphobic Nosebleed.
Pig Destroyer.
I'd say Agoraphobic Nosebleed. No offense, Pig Destroyer.
Yeah, I might go with Ben on this one. I
I'm like a discordant
I had a
access
longer period
agoraphobic.
with agoraphobic nosebleed.
I mean, there's like kind of personal reasons for all of this. With like Agoraphobic Nosebleed, musically, I like more. But there's like some circumstances around it that will make it into the Pig Destroyer camp.
Yeah.
In order of upcoming cinema events, Indiana Jones, the first one or the third one? We skipped the Temple of Doom.
First one.
First one, definitely.
I've
been rewatching them lately.
They
Me
are
too.
great. I like Last Crusade, but I think it's because I grew up. I think I watched that one the most as a kid.
Dude,
Yeah,
Face melt.
it's so good. They're both so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's by a nose. It's really just which one am I more likely to put on? That's all.
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's
yeah.
definitely one of the four that we all probably are not going to put on after we watched it once, and that is the one with Crystal Skulls, right? Because that movie just sucks. I mean, like, no. The first 80% of the movie are awesome, and then the fucking aliens come in, and I'm like,
yeah.
You know what though? The violence in it is really great.
okay,
It's definitely got Indiana Jones level violence. When that dude gets eaten by like ants, that part looks.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's some parts where I'm like, oh, this is Steve whipping it out, and then the rest of it's a bunch of.
I've only seen it once, and I was fucking wasted. So I just like
you climbed in a fridge afterwards.
yeah, like so. I'm just like I'm not like I've been told it's bad. So like
yeah. Overall, yes, it's bad.
what do you guys prefer? Touring over as one couple, writing and recording?
At this point, I'm gonna say writing and recording.
Same.
Yeah.
Ronnie Size versus LTJ Buchan.
Ronnie Size.
Ooh, that's tough.
I like Roddy Size more personally.
Yeah, I guess Ronnie Size. That's tough though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's.
I'll give you two tough ones and one easy one in between. Morbid Angel versus Steph. Oh, Ben doesn't like us anymore. The question was too hard for him. So okay.
Morbid Angel is the right answer to that.
I like more Morbid Angel. I think more Morbid Angel song.
I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Morbid Angel as well. Like Death has some really remarkable records, but then there are some that just like are a little too like heady for me. I don't like my metal smart.
Mm-hmm. Which Carter would you rather listen to, Lil Wayne or Jay-Z?
Oh, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm old enough to have listened to Jay-Z more.
Yeah, we're from New York here.
Jay-Z all day. Yeah.
I was thinking
Jay-Z
of like Beyonce or Jay-Z, and I was sure the answer would still be the same.
No.
Yeah, no. Beyonce beats out Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You've got credit where credit's due.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of you guys are from New York. Some, one. And New York is known for the hip hop scene, basically. Where would you rank Jay-Z in that? I mean, like we all agree he's not the best rapper ever to come out of New York. He's the best rapping entrepreneur to come out of New York. But who would be your favorite New York rappers or hip hoppers?
I actually think Chuck D is the best rapping entrepreneur to come out of New York.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, there might be some to that. Forgot that.
Say maybe Prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like coming back to skills,
But where would I rank Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jay-Z, I don't know, top 20, top 15 maybe.
Yeah, I'd give him top 10.
I mean, there's some insane rappers from New York, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And there are also so many that the young generation doesn't even remember. I remember like a year or two ago, I was talking to one of my students, and he was talking about Jay-Z like being like, for him, the most iconic rapper from New York. And I was like, okay, come on. Eric B. and Rakim, what about KRS-One?
Yeah.
And he was looking at me like, huh?
Schoolie D, man. Come on.
I can't even explain. The last one, and I think it might be the hardest one for one or two of you.
Oh.
Tangerine Dream versus Can.
Sharp, you go first.
Oh, fuck you.
You know what? I go first because for me, that's an easy as fuck question. Because I grew up in a town 8 kilometers away from Cannes. So a little local patriotism, like I go with Cannes on that. Always.
I find Tangerine Dream's music a little more timeless, especially a lot of, obviously the soundtrack work. Everybody goes nuts for that. It's like breakthrough type stuff. But Can is like, it's such a picture of a period in time, and plus Jackie Leapsight is like one of the best drummers. So I think again, it's like by a nose, I'd probably just choose Can.
I'm going to say, I'm going to agree with that. I think that Tangerine Dream is far more easy to kind of get sucked into. I listen to Tangerine Dream, 50 times more than I listen to Can, but like,
yeah, that's the problem.
yeah.
By the way, I love a cat in the background, Mr. Burden. She's like the star of the show right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's my dog. He's wearing a diaper because he's 1,000 years old.
So you would also say Can?
I'd say Can is a more rewarding listen. You just have to put in the work.
Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with them.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to go all the way across. That's crazy.
I also wouldn't. I would have expected like real. Like,
we're all synth nerds. Like usually the last half of tracking is just us playing keyboards. So it's funny that we didn't choose one of the ultimate keyboard bands.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we're like it's like, yeah, we're all synth people, but we're also like all kind of like rhythm dorks.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, very true. You can't get away.
Yeah.
And then we're back.
I'd be more excited about seeing Can than seeing Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's right there. Like, that's perfect.
And by the way, that was one of the artists that I would love to see a collaboration by you guys from.
That would be insane.
Damo and Uniform. That would be a wet dream for me come true.
Yeah, if it's like a Dead or Alive thing, of course. Like,
no, but imagine only doing a record with Damo. You be like.
I mean, no, well, that would be incredible. Yeah.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks for all the time. I know you're gonna come to Europe in a few weeks or days, I think, even, right? And enjoy coming to the old world. Everybody who is able to catch them, please do so. A really good live band who has always a very surprising set coming up for everybody. And if you haven't done so, listen to Bright New Disease. As I say, I'm pretty sure by now it's going to be like the collaboration album for me of 2023. If you like this interview and if you like the stuff that we do in general, then have a look at our page in order to support us, or drop us a message on Facebook, on other social medias. Or if you want to go one step further, support us on our Patreon. All the information for that as well on our website. And now for one of you three, or for all three of you, chance for final last words.
Anybody? It's a stalemate for real.
Thanks.
I can't believe I lost.
I mean, yeah, I say like you don't trust me. You don't want me to get started.
Yeah.
Shall we say famous last sentence?
Yeah. Thank you. This has been great. This has been a ton of fun.
So enjoy Europe, guys, and well, maybe next year in Tilburg.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.